Hey everybody, I'm Riley.
And I'm Todd, and welcome to this week's episode of Barber Cuts. So, thanks for giving us a week off. We enjoyed the Thanksgiving holiday here in the US since we have a growing number of international user or listeners. And so I had a good time with Riley being at home. So we enjoyed that. But now she's back at school, so it's back to business. And we are talking about, speaking of international, the Stone Roses from the UK, 1989 self-titled album, The Stone Roses, which would make sense since the band's name is The Stone Roses. So,
Let's see how many times. Take a shot every time you just said the Stone Roses.
oh, let's see. Let's
Party.
introduce a adult drinking game to our listeners for this episode.
Brother Pod,
Stone
Brother Pod's
Roses.
gonna
All right.
lose
There we
his
go.
mind.
There's another one. All right. So, here we are. Least favorite. Let's get into it. Riley, what were your least favorite two songs?
Okay, so um, one of my least favorites was "She Bangs the Drums." Um, so it was one of my least favorites because I feel like it had the most like 80s influence still like lingering on it. It like that song was the most like, all right, we're still there a little bit. Like we're inching away, but we're still there.
Yeah.
It just had a lot of like the classic tropes of the 80s song more than any other song, I feel. And I'm not a big 80s music trope person, so that can just kind of like mess
Yeah.
up the song a little bit. Um, but this was one where like even the songs I like that I'm are my least favorite. This is definitely one where I still enjoyed the song. I still think it has its place. It was just that one had the most 80s sound to me. Um, and then the other one that I put was Song for My Sugar Spun Sister. I don't know why I said it like sister, sister. They're British,
Yeah.
not Southern or Memphian. That's more Memphian than it is Southern. Um, that was a similar case, just a few classic like 80s tropes. There's a few songs later, like I Am the Resurrection has a few of those, but the lyrics kind of save it for me. Um, and I really liked the lyrics on that song. Whereas Song for My Sugar Spun Sister, um, is like a beautiful song, but not as beautiful. Like something I'm gonna try to explain this, and I don't know how to explain this, so we're gonna see how it goes.
All right.
Their lyrics are very like well done. Like the way they describe things is very like artistic in the
Yeah.
way they go about describing things, which can make it a little convoluted at points. I'll give people that. It's harder to follow than some of the like Prince was a great example of like you don't have to interpret much. Like the emotion is there in the songs, the lyrics are there, and it's pretty clear. And that's a reason a lot of people like Prince. It's like you can clearly follow music. Same with like Marvin Gaye. It's to prove to you that it's not like a bad thing when lyrics are like point blank clear.
Yeah.
Marvin Gaye is another good example. Nobody had any questions about what he was saying. Like it
Right.
was pretty clear. This one or this band, you have to do a little bit more to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
You can't just listen to the song, got it, good, go on with your life. That
Right.
would be a disservice to this album and this
Yeah.
band. Um,
And they didn't
and
really explain
probably
a lot of them either in media or whatnot.
no, they were
So
yeah,
left a lot of it up
it
to
yeah.
interpretation.
Um, yes, which is also usually great for a band like
Yeah.
this. This was probably one that unfortunately I spent the least time trying to like figure out the lyrics, so like it's like least favorite status is more on me than it is on the band.
Yeah. You're talking about
There
this
were just
particular
some
song or the whole album?
Yes. No, this particular song.
Okay.
Sorry. This song was one of my least favorites, and I'm saying it's probably more due to me than it is to the band.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll probably change my tune. Like, what was it? I think I did it for Arcade Fire, where one song that I listed as my least favorite was my song of the week later on, and I was like, I
Yeah.
take it back.
Yeah.
Just accept that this happens. Um, but I the one I think the only part is where it says the candy floss girl, the sticky fingered boy. That was the only part that I like really like understood
Yeah.
when listening to it because they're also a UK band
Yeah.
and that grossed me out a little bit. I don't know why. I don't like sticky. I just don't like that description.
Yeah.
But I think the rest of the lyrics are probably beautiful just like the rest of them and I didn't give it enough time, so don't come at me. It's on me. I'm
Yeah.
admitting that. I'm admitting.
So, my two were, and we didn't have any crossover here. So one of mine was "Don't Stop," which
Okay.
was right after "Waterfall," and essentially and at first when I was listening to it, I wasn't watching songs. I was just listening to it. And so I was wondering if the song actually switched, because I was like, this sounds like what I was just listening to, just backwards. And that's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
So it's the waterfall quits, and then the intro guitars are essentially waterfall played backwards. And as I did research on them, they did that a couple of times with some of their songs where they just played the guitars backwards and then put new vocals on top of it and create a new song. And
There you go.
so, yeah, I'm like, okay, a two for one. But for me, it sounded a little, because it was right afterwards. It sounded a little off to me, and had a little bit of chaos that went with it because Waterfall was quite melodic, and this one wasn't really. And to be fair, it has bits of that throughout the song where you can tell almost that it's played backwards, but it mostly corrects itself, as it gets going, and it's still not a bad song to me. But the other, I guess my least favorite is probably Elizabeth, My Dear. Um, you know, just a 53-second song. Um, and when I first heard it, I was like, okay, I know this tune like for sure. And I'm like, it's a Christmas carol, and I was trying to come up with it. Probably if it wasn't Christmas season, I never would have thought of a Christmas carol. But because of that, that's where my mind went. And I kept trying to make it green sleeves, which it's not green sleeves. But that's what I kept trying to do it. But so as I started doing research, figured out it was Scarborough Fair, and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense because I'd heard that song before. But they just put their own lyrics to it, and also figured out it's actually a song about wanting Queen Elizabeth to not be queen anymore. So that was
Yeah, I mean it ends with it's curtains
yeah.
for you, Elizabeth, my dear. I feel like it's
Yeah, and but it's also one of those things where because again, um, those of us or listeners outside of the U.S., apologies in advance. Like we don't have that monarchy, never have. So it anytime I see Elizabeth and in or Queen or anything, although this one didn't really say Queen, I don't think, but Elizabeth, it doesn't click with me that that's Queen Elizabeth that they're talking about, just because,
yeah.
again, you know, obviously people in the UK, when they heard this, they were like, oh yeah, they knew exactly what it was, and would
Well,
still do. So it just didn't catch me in the lyrics until I was like, oh yeah. And then to be fair, I'm like, You idiot. Of course it was Queen Elizabeth. Why would you not think of that?
Yeah,
So
because
anyway,
it's such a short song. I just did say that a lot of their lyrics are convoluted, and I think it's a very funny choice for this one lyric or this one,
yeah.
like you said, like 50-second song to not be convoluted at all.
No.
The lyric is, I'll not rest till she's lost her throne. My aim is true, my message is clear. It's curtains for you, Elizabeth, my dear.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
the most clear any of their lyrics have been. And it
And
is,
I mean, unfortunately to them, man, they had to wait quite a bit for that to happen.
yeah,
So, you know,
yeah, they did.
but those are my two least favorites. So on to favorites.
Favorites. One of my favorites was I Want to Be Adored, the opening song. Such a great opening song.
Hmm.
Um, just really made me excited for the rest of the album. Because I had never heard of the Stone Roses. I kept the only
There's another one.
Oh, yeah. I had never heard of this band. Saved you. Um, and so I had no idea what to expect going into it. I knew it was 89, so I knew it could either be pretty 80s or new entering the 90s, which I like the 90s more, so I was really hoping for that. But I was not expecting this, I'll say. That first song, if you the first song sounds incredibly modern to me. Most of this album does, actually. What I mean by that is like it sounds like something that could be released today by a band,
Yeah.
which is very impressive considering how much has changed in music production from 80, well, 88, 89, because it was a probably multi-month process to nowadays.
Yeah.
So for it to sound like a modern indie band was very impressive to me. Um, just it sounded so modern. I don't know if you got that at any point, but it just like
Yeah.
so
No, I
much of it
did.
was like
Yeah.
this sounds like music today
Yeah.
for one of the first times that I've experienced. Like, there's usually been a notable difference for like different parts. This one, there were very few.
Right.
And this one, the beat and instrumental at the beginning was the most like modern part. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is just a song from today. I had to recheck when we said that it released because I was like, surely it was the 2000s,
Yeah.
not 89. Um, so it just really set the tone for the album with that great introduction song. I think gave a good overall gist of the type of music that they're planning on making for the rest of the album. Great song, great intro.
Yep.
Um,
I
my other
agree.
favorite, my other favorite, I'm putting two into one because they're right after each other. I don't think they're meant to go together, but just let me have it. It's
No.
Made of Stone and Shoot You Down.
Okay.
Um, so Shoot You Down, the well, okay, Made of Stone. The intro, the doo doo doo. I'm not even gonna try. Um, that was a very familiar beat. I don't know if you've, I know I've heard it before, I just don't know where. And that really bothers me. So
Yeah.
if you found it anywhere, let me know.
No.
Because I tried to find where it was from and it came up
And
with nothing.
I've got this on my why listen to it, but I'll go ahead and say it now. I mean, I got that quite a bit. Like I have heard this before.
Yes!
I've heard this before, but I never could come up with it.
Yes! Yes! It made me feel crazy. There was
Yes.
so much
Yeah.
that I was like,
And I was like, this
certainly, this
sounds like
is
a band. And it's like Rolling Stones, beat, no, and I'm just going through bands in my head, going through, you know, riffs and none of the lyrics really, but, or melodies. I'm like, I know that is familiar, but I very, very rarely, ever came up with where it came from.
No.
So go ahead.
So,
So
mine,
yes, it
like, I
sounded
was like,
familiar, but I do not know
okay,
what it was that triggered that familiarity.
yes, this one was the one that I was most certain that I knew. And, um, I think I may have just come up with it, but also not certain. So I'm gonna type that down to go check it later.
Yeah,
Because it's a very small band. Um, anyway, there were just a lot of really familiar points when looking at some of the bands that the Stone Roses directly like inspired. It makes a little bit of sense because once they said that, there were a lot of songs that I was like, oh, I probably recognize some of the things from this song just because it's very similar vibes.
yeah,
Specifically, the Arctic Monkeys are a big one.
yeah,
Um, and Oasis, but
yep,
that's but there's a pretty heavy amount of UK indie bands that reference them as a inspiration, and a lot of
yeah,
them that I listen to sound very similar.
yeah,
So probably why I think it sounds very familiar. Um, but I really like that sound, and so Made of Stone became a favorite because of that sound.
yeah,
It's also this is the one about a car crash.
yeah.
Um, so it's again like it's a way they describe the song is so I was gonna say this later, but I'll say it now because it works now. So Stone Roses to me feels like the feels like almost a precursor to Neutral Milk Hotel. And I don't know if Neutral Milk Hotel is UK based, but if they're not, Stone Roses feel like a UK based version of that that's just slightly more chill. Because Neutral Milk Hotel is very not chill. Their lyrics make you very uncomfortable. They're supposed to. Um, and their lyrics are also very convoluted, but they tell a story, and you're supposed to try to interpret it.
Neutral Milk
And
Hotel is
I
from Louisiana.
Okay. I feel like the Stone Roses are kind of a UK version of that because, so in my opinion, everybody, in my opinion are the keywords here. Neutral Milk Hotel was one of the big founders of indie for America,
Yep.
followed with Arcade Fire and, oh gosh, the one that everybody knows and will be mad at me that I'm not remembering right now. Um, oh gosh, what is that band? Um, this is the first day that of my life. This is the first day of my life. I have to find this. Bright Eyes, Bright Eyes.
Okay.
Yes. Those like are kind of the first like formations of indie that we see, but Neutral Milk Hotel really started that. It seems as if Stone Roses was that for the UK, because when I looked up who the Stone Roses inspired, it's like every UK indie band
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Um, and similar to Neutral Milk Hotel, lyrics are a big part of it. Not clear lyrics are a big part of it. And also, as seen in Made of Stone, lyrics that make you a little uncomfortable or a lot uncomfortable are a big part of it, along with experimenting with a bunch of stuff. An example of that is like your pink fat lips let go a scream, you fry and melt. I love the scene. Sometimes I fantasize. Like it's a
Yeah.
beautiful description of what's happening, but it's not meant to make you like think what a pretty scene. It's meant to make you feel uncomfortable. Like
Yeah.
it's meant
And
to
it
make you kind of like have a picture in your head of what's happening.
yeah, and it starts right off the front with, your knuckles whiten on the wheel, the last thing that your hands will feel. Your final flight can't be delayed. I mean, and from all accounts, it's about Jackson Pollock, the artist who died in a car crash. So, but yeah, it's definitely very descriptive.
Yes. Um, I can't tell at some points, which is also an interesting part of the song. You can't tell if they are mourning the death or if they are slightly celebrating, if
Uh,
that makes sense,
Jackson
because
Pollock.
they're talk yeah,
I
like
I would say they're
um
mourning just from
I
other
so
things.
I would s- I would say that too,
Yeah.
based on Pollock was a pretty experimental artist that was
Well, I mean, the cover art is based off just the Jackson Pollock art
true.
style, and so are most of their
That's
singles.
true.
And so the guitarist, I believe, loved Jackson Pollock.
Yes, but unless you, what I'm trying to say is, unless you know that information, the song is not clear
Oh, true, sure.
about
Yeah, I can see
whether
that. I can see that.
because it talks about loving the scene and like um I guess it says at least you left your life in style, but like it talks about twisted girls gritting back and bad
Right.
money dies and loving the
Yeah.
scene and like all of this stuff. Like it's unclear whether they're kind of celebrating it at some parts or
Yeah.
completely mourning, which I mean is I guess like more back to them leaving a lot of lyrics up to interpretation,
Yeah.
um, and personal interpretation.
Yeah.
But really good song.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
then
It was also, before you move on, one of mine. And so just for the music side of things, like that intro again, I wrote that down, is very nice. Just the a lot of theirs are very clean guitars, and this one had a little bit of distortion to it, which gave it a little bit of, ooh, what's that? And then about 2 minutes 40 seconds, it does have a really good guitar solo in there, so that was nice from a guitar solo fan. So push along to Don't Stop.
well,
Wasn't that your next one?
to
Or
no,
Shoot You
shoot
Down,
you
sorry.
down.
Don't Stop was
They go
mine.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Shoot You Down is a really interesting contrast. To go from like the car crash and like we talked about it more on the morning side of the car crash and like kind of talking about that what looks like to talking about Shoot You Down and the lyric being I'd love to do it and you know you've always had it coming. There's not really much question in that one about like it not being like a very nice feeling.
Hmm.
Um, but the lyrics in this song are really interesting too, talking about like it wasn't a person who necessarily did them wrong. It seems like someone who just loved them a certain way that was harmful to them. Like it again is kind of unclear on the exact like purpose of that person and what they did more than it literally says the love that you showed me started to choke me. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't exactly say anything
And
wrong about the
and
person,
if
which
it
is
and if it
interesting.
wasn't for that line, I would have thought that, because everything else in here other than that one particular line made me think it was again about the Queen. Yeah. But that
Um,
that one line, I was like, that's probably not about her. It almost seems like a
yeah,
stalker
but
almost.
yeah, which is like the part that's interesting to me is I don't know, there it's really interesting to me to have lyrics that are so descriptive and yet so like you do not know what's happening.
Right.
And to me it's a little frustrating at times because like it's not like interpreting lyrics is very fun for me, but I like it whenever an artist I know what they eventually were trying to say. This one they seem to very much be on the side of like we don't want you to know exactly what we were trying to say on some parts.
Yeah.
But I think they still get the point across and it's a beautiful song about some dark emotions.
Yeah.
That are just still some pretty good lyrics that are interesting in contrast from like mourning a death to wanting a death. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's new. But yeah, so those were my two favorites.
Yeah, so I mentioned I mentioned one of mine, and I was going through um some. I did like She Bangs the Drums,
Okay.
Waterfall, I Want to Be Adored. Like those first three songs are really, really good. And they are their most streamed songs on Spotify. I also really liked I Am the Resurrection. But like I said, went with Made of Stone. My favorite one is This Is the One. And it may have been obvious to some that that might be it because I have mentioned that I am a Manchester United fan. So this is the song that the club walks out to. Been that way since early 2000s. Three of the four band members supported the club. Manny, the bassist, is one that just recently passed away over, again, Thanksgiving week for us. But he was also the bassist for Primal Scream. So go check out episode 3 if you want to listen to that one.
Which,
We talked
really
about
quick,
Screamadelica. Yep.
I looked up, when I looked up like bands that have cited Stone Roses as inspiration,
Hmm.
my Google AI told me that a source of inspiration for the Stone Roses was Primal Scream, and I was like, well, yeah, it was the band member.
Yeah.
It wasn't like not necessarily a source of
Yeah,
inspiration, it was just the same guy.
but I'm not sure. I can't remember when I'm not sure when Primal Scream kick-started and when he went because Screamadelica was early 90s, and I think he was still with Stone Roses on their second album, which wasn't until 94. So he may have jumped after. So,
Okay,
so
that
when
makes
they all work, it's kind of
no,
hard
I
to
just all I knew was that
remember.
it was the same member, and I was like, all right, Google AI.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kinda.
Um,
Kinda.
so yeah, so we did listen to Scream of Delica so early on, so that's episode 3. Great opening with the guitar, then then the rest of the band comes in with a big bang a couple of times, and then you have a quiet bass line, build up of the music of the first verse and the chorus, almost whispering the lyrics, which is neat. And then every once in a while, between the whispers, the band hits with some chords and drums. And at 140, you got a guitar solo that adds some intensity, and the band plays. The lyrics are louder. Then when the chorus comes back, it goes back quiet, comes back loud. So it's a very good roller coaster of volume that adds to the intensity of the feelings of the music of again, loud, soft, loud. We've talked about that the Pixies get a lot of credit for it, but obviously it's or not obviously it was around before them, but they do get a lot of the credit. So
I
that
will say the Pixies also don't get a lot of the credit
this is true.
per
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 their singer that he's angry about it with Nirvana. But so those are my two favorites. Moving on to the next one. Why should people listen to this album? And we've touched on it a little bit already.
Yeah, I mean, going back to them, like, so the Stone Roses themselves don't have a ton of listeners. They have a lot. They have like almost 2 million, but that's considering the albums that we've listened to being like the best of all time. Like,
Yeah,
it's one of the lower that we've seen. Um, but I think, like I said, with how many people that they have like how many bands have directly quoted them as inspirations that have made it outside of the UK scene. Like
right.
Oasis is a huge one, and the Arctic Monkeys are another huge one. Like they
Yeah,
huge bands that I think if you went back and listened to the Stone Roses, you would definitely see where they're getting it from.
yeah.
And they pull a lot from even just this one album. Um,
Yeah, I think
and
what hurt the Stone Roses was they put this album out. and then they took 5 years before they released their second one because they were trying to get out of a contract and into a new one. And then after
Yeah.
that one, they broke up for like 13 years, maybe even longer. I can't remember what the number was. And so they were just doomed because they couldn't get music out the door.
Yeah. Which is, I think, a sad loss,
It is. It is.
because of how great this album is and how many people just this album inspired. But I think like if you're a fan of any of those bands or know those bands well enough, I think it would definitely be interesting to go back and listen to this album just because of how much like you do feel like you recognize just by knowing other bands. Because once I read the Arctic Monkeys, there's a lot that I was like, oh yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot I recognized because it's a trope with the Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah.
Um, and Oasis, both of the brothers have talked about going to these concerts and
Right.
like talking to the band members and like citing them as one of their biggest inspirations, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and just all of that. So I think it's just interesting to see a band that doesn't have a lot of traction inspiring some of the bands that have crazy platforms.
Yeah.
And I think they deserve their roses
Haha.
too.
Yeah, so the Stone Roses have said they were influenced by the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Simon and Garfunkel, the Smiths, the Byrds, Jimi Hendrix, Zeppelin. Um, and when I saw this next one, the Jesus and Mary Chain, I'm like, ooh, I hear a lot of Jesus and Mary Chain in this.
Yeah.
Sex Pistols and The Clash. We've got episodes on Sex Pistols and The Clash. And so you hear all of those in the music, but yet also with this own sound, which goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like I've heard that, but I can't think of exactly where. And the album itself was not very well received when it was initially released. But you mentioned yourself coming back around on an Arcade Fire song. A lot of people have now come back to this and like, okay, yeah, we had it wrong when it first came out. Um,
Which,
and
which, let me say this, is so poetic that they liked an artist like Pollock because that is such an artist trope. It's
yeah,
like it is like one of the best things ever created, and everyone hates it. Like
yeah,
Van Gogh was hated.
yeah,
Like Monet was another one, hated.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden, hundreds of years later, we're like, oh man.
yeah. Here's $50 million for his painting, you know.
So,
Um,
and it is also very true with like indie tropes, like a lot of indie bands that started out there, especially ones like this one, and I keep referencing Neutral Milk Hotel. I'm a big Neutral Milk Hotel fan.
yeah,
Sue me. Um, their music is not just to be pretty, or say like a really deep message that makes you uncomfortable, um, which is what a lot of people had gotten used to.
yeah,
Uh, these albums were a little bit more to make you feel a little uncomfy at
yeah,
times, to pay more attention. Sometimes, or every time it was to say something, obviously, that's why people should make music. And so a lot of people just don't immediately like feeling uncomfortable when they're listening to music because that's so not what we're used to,
yeah,
if
yeah.
that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. And this is one that did not make it near as big in the US as it did in the UK.
Yeah.
And even when you look at the accolades, you have to go to the UK to f really find them. And the this album particularly because the next one wasn't released until 94, and just a couple of listen to a couple of songs off of it, it had a different sound than this one. So even they changed their sound a little bit. And but this album made such a big impact on the music of the 90s that are like, okay, we can't deny the influence. And, and so it's got to be this good album. And so even going back to looking at in 2000, it was named the greatest album ever at the NME Premiere Award Show, which is a British thing. And in 2006, it topped the magazine's 100 greatest British albums ever. So I mean, Rolling Stones, Zeppelin, um, who's that other group? Ha, just kidding. The Beatles. Yeah, and this is like the greatest British album ever. And so as an
Charles just
Amer
rolled over in his grave.
yeah, no, poor Charles. Or at least I didn't say Wham. Um, but the but as Americans, like we got all of those that made it across the ocean, and this band for whatever reason just didn't have the staying power. Unlucky with trying to switch labels, like whatever it was, and just never really made it. And so those were older. But in 2020, so 5 years ago, BBC, again, British, BBC Radio 2 did a Ultimate 80s album poll. And it came in third. Never saw what the first two albums were, but this album was above Michael Jackson's Thriller, Appetite
Wow.
for Destruction, and above Purple Rain, Prince and the Revolution. Again, we've done an episode on that one. And I know Appetite. I know both the other two are on our list. I just don't know when we'll get to them. So, like that's a like the the British population really loves this album. And so from an American side of things, it's like most Americans have probably never heard of this album. And admittedly, I had not heard of many of the songs off of this album. I had heard of This Is the One, heard of some off the second album, so I had heard of the Stone Roses, but not much more other than they were fans of the soccer team that I like. So that was most of it. But
Yeah, I do think with this album in particular, I can't like to me the the year 89 for music should be 90s. Like it was basically there. Like when you really start to look into like albums that were like in 89
yeah,
like this, you're more like
yeah.
are you really 80s?
Yeah, it's
You're sneaking into the 90s range.
yeah, and this this album is, and even listening to it on Spotify, so um it had two different releases. So it had a UK release and then a US release. And so the US release had two extra songs on it than what the UK release did, but yet the album on Spotify was neither of those. So I'm not sure what Spotify's doing there, but that's a different story. Um, the US release ends in Fool's Gold, um, which has a not sure if you feel this, but Fool's Gold definitely has a different vibe to it than most of the other songs. Um, which I'll talk about now because you really hear maybe what they were part of. And again, I'm gonna mess this up because I'm not immersed in the UK music scene. So hey, email us and tell us how we got it wrong, and we'll figure it out and correct ourselves. But they were part of or started, couldn't really tell, this music scene movement called Madchester instead of Manchester. But it was just a combination of this alt indie rock, acid house, psychedelica, pop, electronic dance, all this music fused in together, which you get it. in a lot of these songs. Like you can hear all of that. Like you can really easily dance to this music. Um, but you really, really hear it on Fool's Gold, which is the last song. And that was one of their bigger ones. It wasn't on the album, but it was, from what I could tell, one of their bigger ones that they would play live and whatnot. But and that sound actually really influenced the Brit pop of the 90s. So going back to Oasis, Blur, which was Song of the Week,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
last episode, I think,
The Verve
and The
is the
Verve.
Verve
Yep,
90s?
The Verve. So the sound really influenced all of them. The Stone Roses and another band called the Happy Mondays are the two biggest that you hear from this. And like I said, it popped up and went away so fast, and I think a lot of that was because of them not getting that music out the door. And so by the time they got that second album out, their music had changed, the scene had changed, and so the Stone Roses don't get quite the popularity, quite the um, glamour that maybe they should.
Yeah. Plus, I think if I understand being this way since it's not coming out of judgment because I've been this way most of my life. If you are a little bit of a snub to older music, and by older music I really mean like the 80s and older, just because 90s is when people start to kind of consider it not like classic
Yeah,
rock, but like something different. Um, do not let the 89 fool you on this one, especially.
yeah,
Really give it a chance before you interpret it, because like I said, it sounds very modern, and that is very impressive for a band to do, to where it still like upholds to the kind of like standard of music today.
yeah,
Um, like there's usually just because they don't have the stuff that's not on the albums that we've covered, just because our albums are typically considered the best of the best.
yeah,
Um, but just in general, a lot is usually forgiven just because we know, like, oh, it can't be the same quality that it is now.
yeah,
This one is like darn near the same quality that it
yeah,
is now.
yeah. I agree.
So really give it a chance and just picture a two in front of a instead of a one, and fix the rest of the numbers too. But just
What? Huh?
just just give it a chance, because I assure you, as someone who has been there before, this one is definitely worth it. And you can finally say that you like an 80s band and feel really cool about
There you
that.
go. There you go.
So,
The other thing to take note of this is not really about the music, but the artwork is really cool too. Um, and so if you are a Jackson Pollock fan, then you will thoroughly enjoy the album cover. If you're not, then okay, maybe you won't. But it was done actually by the guitarist John Squire, and it makes reference to a May 1968 riots in Paris. And so that's the red, white, and blue on there, are a nod to the French flag. Granted, these stripes horizontal, France's flag is vertical, but that's what it's there for. And it seems I didn't dive deep into this, but it seems that protesters were tear gassed and they used lemons as an antidote. I have no idea if it worked, but that's why the lemons are on the front cover. Um,
that's kind
so
of
I was
baller.
I was curious as to why there were lemons on there and red, white, blue. So like it all makes sense now. Um,
Yeah.
And then the other thing is the this artwork is also used in the, again, Manchester United Adidas Stone Roses collaboration. So there's a collection of United wear based on this artwork, replica jerseys,
Which,
hats,
if
and things
anybody
like
wants to
that.
mail us
Yeah,
Christmas presents in the
I would
spirit of
I
things,
would take anything from you. Combine this
so
album United. Yeah, sure. Go get me something out that collection and mail it. If you're
That's really
willing
cool,
to,
then.
I will send us an email, barbercutspod@gmail.com, and I'll give you an address. So, anything else? So yeah, it's got some artwork, got some good music, got some good lyrics. So, and again, being most still as I look at statistics, 90-ish percent of our listeners are in the US. So so for those listeners, if you haven't gone, or if you know the Beatles is your main thing from what you think of Britain, UK, go listen to this because like
Mhm.
it was it's impressive. So um anything else before we hit best beats and bars, or best beat and
Not for
bar?
me.
Not for me, other than to say Stone Roses one more time. So, best bar. What's the best lyric in there to you, Riley?
Oh, pretty much. So I mentioned the lyrics of I Am the Resurrection saved it for me, and that's so true. The lyrics on this song are incredible. It's a long song. Go read the lyrics. I recommend. Um, again, parts will make you uncomfortable. Stick with it. Try to. It's supposed to, if that helps you make feel any better. And hold on, I'm gonna say this really quick. Well, um, if you say these lyrics make you uncomfortable and yet you claim to be a Tyler the Creator fan, don't talk to me. Tyler the Creator does the same thing. Tyler the Creator is one of the modern examples of his lyrics are supposed to make you uncomfortable. His lyrics and music is not meant to be pretty all the time. It's meant to tell a story, and he experiments a lot with it. So if you like Tyler the Creator, don't come at me for these lyrics, because his lyrics are sometimes worse. Anyway, and that's coming. I like Tyler the Creator. Let me be
Hmm.
clear. Anyway,
These are
um,
probably not the worst lyrics that we've had to endure.
no, not even
So,
that. But
yeah,
these, yes, they're just these ones are meant to make you uncomfortable, and I feel like some of the other ones we've covered were just like poor taste. Does that make sense?
yeah, I can,
Because like you can usually kind of tell when a lyric is like meant to be a little iffy versus one that they were like, ah, yeah, this is the stuff, and you're like,
yeah,
oh no,
yeah, yeah,
don't do that to me. And as someone who tends to like songs that make me kind of uncomfortable, I'm pretty good at picking that out and picking whenever it's like I don't like it, and whenever it's like done in a tasteful way.
yeah,
Um, and this song is again another pretty like angry lyric song. I mean it's saying like don't waste your words. You're no one, washed up baby who'd look better dead. Like it's a pretty like angry song. And then it just ends with I am the resurrection and I am the life. I couldn't ever bring myself to hate you as I'd like. And that just switches the whole song in like the last lyric. It completely changes the context of the song. And so then you're like, oh, now I have to listen to it again with this and like fully understand it. And to just do that so to like
yeah,
just turn a song on its head is such a cool idea. Um and just adds like that one lyric adds so much more depth to the song than before. And
yeah. I agree.
introduces like a whole bunch of new theories of what the song could really mean, what they were going through, what the lyrics mean, and makes it, I mean, that much more relatable. Because I think most everyone who says that they hate someone probably relates to that lyric
Yeah,
of it not being hate as you'd like it to be. And I just think it's such a beautiful lyric for this song in particular. Just incredible song too, but that lyric, man, changes everything.
yeah.
So very cool to see.
So my best beat is the rest of the song. This
Yeah.
is quite funny because, as you mentioned, the song is long, 8 minutes and 12 seconds, but the lyrics quit at 3:20. So 5 minutes
Yes.
of it is a instrumental outro. So remember the original release in the UK. This is the last song. So if you go listen to the album on Spotify, you get another song right after it.
Which
Um,
it should have been the last song.
I know. And so I'll
Fool's Gold, I
go.
think, should have been included just before.
Yeah, but I'll go with the UK release. And again, we're talking about best beaten bars, but I always like it because you do too, when we can get albums where first song and last song like makes sense. This is it. Um, I Want to Be Adored and I Am the Resurrection off the original UK release. That's a excellent first song and an excellent last song. The lyrics on this last song, and then you get the lyrics that make you feel uncomfortable for the lyric person, and then 5 minutes of a instrumental music outro that, okay, why am I going to tell you to go listen to 5 minutes of the song? Well, okay, maybe not 5 minutes, but at least give it to the 4 minute mark. That's a normal song. So song lyrics quit about 3:20. Give it 40 seconds and you're going to get this switch into, and it's guitar driven, but it's got a little funk to it. And so it's nice, and you get to see the bassist really, the basses and drums throughout are incredible, but they get to shine a little bit here as you get to see them come through along with the guitar doing some things. And so it is guitar driven mostly, but because there's no lyrics, you get to hear the bass and you get to hear the drums shine through in it. And again, 8 minute song, but man, is it a very good, what I'll call a last song on it. Um, and the other one in the US, there's a song by theirs called Elephant Stone that was added to the US album, but it wasn't on the UK because it had already been released as a single. So they just added it into the albums in the US. So again, that's a third that's song three on the US that's not on the Spotify that we got and not on the UK, but it's a good song too if
That's
you want to go
strange.
listen to it. Yeah. So ratings, Riley. What do you want to give this album a rating?
Um, so objective, I'm gonna give it a 9.
All right.
Yeah. I think like it's so impressive how they make it sound so modern. I think there are a few parts that I don't know if this is so much objective or unfair, whatever, but you kind of mentioned it. The parts where they just kind of flip a song backwards. Very interesting, but sometimes it just doesn't like it makes it flow weird.
Yeah, it does. And the other one, since Made of Stone was both one of our favorites, that's another one that they did that. The single, the B-side of that is one where they did it backwards and put new lyrics on it. But the lyrics to that one, nobody like they're gibberish. And so people are like, is it him doing gibberish or is it him like singing Made of Stone backwards? Like it's hard to tell. So it's funny just going back to,
It's
but
it's him
anyway,
being I'm gonna say it's him attempting to be Pollock. That's something Pollock would do.
yeah.
Pollock was a weird
So
guy.
yeah,
Um, anyway,
yeah,
uh, sometimes it just doesn't make the album flow. And I
yeah,
think also very unfairly, because this is not how it was originally, I do have to go with like the Spotify for this specific part just because it's what I listened to. Fool's Gold being the last song instead of I Am the Resurrection is a travesty.
I
And
agree.
that's not saying I didn't like Fool's Gold, just include Fool's Gold right before it. I
Yeah,
don't care. I Am the Resurrection is such a good last song. That be the last lyric being like that I couldn't hate you as much as I'd like is incredible for a last lyric. Sums up the album in a great way, even though none of the songs really had like a thread. Whatever. Incredible last song. And so that really just kind of knocks it down for me. But as far as a personal rating, I'm giving it a 9.5. I
Okay.
loved this album. And this is the type of album that like makes me super excited that we're doing this
Yeah.
because this is truly an album I would never have listened to it on my own.
No.
And I found a new favorite out of it. And that's so exciting. That's half the reason we're doing this. The other half is to just give us a designated space to talk about music so we stop getting in trouble. Um, I'm kidding. But kind of. But we get to find albums like this that become new favorites and like deserve so much that they didn't get, and we get to highlight it a little bit and
Yeah.
recognize that. And I think, I mean, I'm so excited that I was able to listen to this album and like just enjoy it so much.
Yeah, I agree. And I was close. So, it's one of those things that maybe sometimes makes us a little bit boring because, we do have similar music tastes, but objectively, I go back to the bands that the group influenced, the bands that this album in particular influenced. And so gave it a nine. Personally, also gave it a nine. Really, there was the Elizabeth My Dear is really the only one that I didn't care for.
That's just because you don't know the beef that England had with
True,
Queen Elizabeth,
true.
apparently.
Yeah. So,
We haven't listened to one English song that's been nice to Queen Elizabeth yet, so
no,
that's all I'm
I
saying.
I think
And we've listened to quite
that's
a few,
that's true. We've had
we've
Beatles,
listened to a
Sex
surprising
Pistols,
amount
of
of
UK
Queen
bands,
songs.
and
The
any
Streets had one that mentioned
yeah,
her too, didn't
any
they?
any yeah, I can't remember about that one, but any anytime they've had a song about the Queen, they have not been her fan. So, um, you know, bless her heart, as we would
Email
say in
us
the
and let us
South.
know
Um,
why.
yeah, but again, I really liked it, and was surprised. Like I said, I'd heard This Is the One, and then also I'd heard Love Spreads off of their Second Coming album, but I hadn't really heard of much of these others, so it was nice listening to it. Like you said, I was pleasantly surprised. So, um, song of the week.
Song of the week. My song of the week is Soul on Fire by Timmy Skelly. Timmy Skelly is a smaller artist. He only has 30, almost 31K monthly listeners. This just a really good song. It is off of an EP called Dive Bar Sermon. Recommend that you go listen to that as well. It's just a fun song. It is a little bit poppy, still alt pop, which is kind of where I land ultimately is alt area. But more poppy and just a really good feel good song. At least where I'm at, it's cold and dreary, and it's nice to revel in that for a little bit, but eventually sometimes it's nice to listen to a song that feels a little bit more summery. And that's how I would describe this song. So, um, yeah, Soul on Fire, Timmy Skelly.
Very good. So my song of the week will be one that you are also know and heard, and it is I'm gonna be 500 miles, because as we watched football over the Thanksgiving holidays, that song was on the commercial no less than 1,000 times. And it took me a while, and I finally remembered it was a Starbucks commercial, I believe. But so yeah, I guess they've done their job because I did remember it. But I had to sit and think about it. But it's a song by the Proclaimers, and so it was originally written and released in 1988. But really only successful in the UK and Australia. It blew up in the US in '93 because it was on Benny and June soundtrack. So Johnny Depp movie. So if you're a Johnny Depp fan, go watch Benny and June. And it's just quite the catchy little tune and earworm because I've been singing that chorus ever since. So
And a little
I would walk
random
500 miles and I would walk
I would walk
500 more
500
just
more.
to be done. A
My
thousand
elementary
miles to be
school
at you.
got
Oh,
is
oh,
the definition of us trying to have a conversation.
oh, oh.
In elementary school,
Okay,
okay, yep,
I'll quit
knew
now.
that was coming. We got rid of AR testing, in case anyone knows what AR testing is. But they were still trying to convince us to read. And one of the ways they did that is they got a random, I'm pretty sure they got someone from outside. It could have been one of our teachers. That part is not necessary to sing a remix of this song where it's, and I would read 500 books, and
Nice,
I would.
nice,
So that's how I was first introduced to the song, was through an attempt to get us to read.
excellent.
Um, just to be the man who walks or who reads 1,000 books. And there was another lyric to that. Don't remember it. Didn't work too well. I still like
Yeah,
to read, but I mean
yeah. I mean
no.
that part of that song is so catchy. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
I could not, and again, I'm not a lyrics person. I couldn't tell you a single other lyric probably from the entire song.
The only
But
one I know is
I
when
know
I wake
that.
up.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That's all.
yeah. And now that you say it,
When
it's like,
I
oh
wake
yeah,
up.
yeah. And you would think that I would know it because but I can't remember what it was in the commercial. It's the commercial almost has a aha take on me music video vibe. Where it's animated because it's the Starbucks cups.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Did you
I
remember?
remember
Do
what
you
you're talking about
remember
now.
seeing it now?
I
And
remember
as I
what you're talking
was
about now.
for those on video, she was staring blankly at me like she didn't remember this commercial. You may have zoned out during all the commercial. You may have been zoned out
No,
during the games we were watching. But
I remember it now.
I unfortunately watch commercials. Now they don't always do their job on the marketing side for me, but I do watch them and pay attention to them. So I'm like, "Hey, did you see that
Yeah.
commercial?" And my family's like, "What?"
That one
So
is because they've started asking Starbucks employees to like draw something or write something on cups so that every
yeah,
person has an individual experience. Um, which I have a problem with. So that's
yeah.
probably the reason I zoned it out because they don't pay them anymore to do it, but it's a
Well,
lot of
I
work.
would say, dear Starbucks baristas, don't feel like you got to draw something on my coffee. Makes
Yeah,
no
I
difference to
won't
me.
tell on you.
I won't either.
But they
Matter of fact,
it's
if you
so it's
don't, I'll
like
give you
so
a 5-star review.
yeah, there you go. No, you draw something on their they were drawing on the cup and that's how it came to life was
Yeah,
someone drawing
yeah.
on the cup. So that's
And
what made me
they were throwing snowballs.
so
But
yeah, so I
again,
probably was
that's
watching the
what made me
commercial with
think
like
of the Aha Take on
yes.
Me music
I was
video
probably
where
watching
it's
it with disdain, so wasn't really like uh,
yeah.
uh, paying attention. Anyway,
Anyway, yeah. All right, songs of the
um
week. So next album. Boop, boopy doo.
ne so next album is also an exciting week. We have a guest joining us who will
Guest,
talk more
friend of the
about
show.
yes, friend of the show, roommate of the show. She is
Again,
great. Her name is Kate.
roommate of half the show.
Half the show. That's
You're
important to
half of
know.
the show. Yes.
Half of the show. She was the one, if you all remember, that I said inspired songs of the week. always sends me the most outlandish songs of the week, usually from SoundCloud. That's just like kind of the worst song you've ever heard, but she likes it. She
Wow.
she'll appreciate that. Um anyway, she's gonna be joining us next week to talk about Channel Orange by Frank Ocean. Woo! One of the
Woo.
newer albums.
Nice.
I think it's the newest one we have on the
Yeah.
list.
So, full disclosure, I've heard of the album but never listened to it. So,
I'm excited.
yeah.
This is more like this whole time it's been you being like, these are bands from mine
Yeah, I know. I know.
and showing that to me, and this is one that I get to be like, mine.
And so
This
I
is
was
me.
this is how sad this is, and maybe it'll be good for me. I went to type in Frank into Spotify search, top result, Frank Sinatra. Maybe
Yep,
searching for Frank Ocean will remove Frank Sinatra from my top result.
there you
No,
go.
no offense to
Maybe
old
so.
Frank Sinatra, but you know,
Oh, blue eyes.
so Frank Ocean.
But yeah, so listen along.
I've heard it's a great
Um,
album, but I've never actually
yeah,
listened to
yeah,
it. So
definitely.
I'm a little excited here.
Definitely go give it a listen and listen along with us and hear our opinions. Go listen to The Stone Roses by The Stone Roses. Ha ha! Got you two
Ah,
more times
two
before the
more.
end. Um, and follow us on social medias. Barbercuts Pod, Barbercuts Pod.
Easy for you to
I
say.
think on most everything. And then Barbercuts Pod at
Except,
Gmail.
except the TikTok.
Except TikTok, but we're still working on that, I think. I didn't
Still
even know
working
we
on.
had TikTok, I'll be honest.
We don't. That's what I said. Everything but
Oh, I thought you were
TikTok.
saying that it was a different username on TikTok.
No,
Okay, we
no,
don't have a TikTok. That
no.
makes sense. Because neither
Maybe,
of us have TikTok
maybe
on
we
our own.
should.
Or you do.
I do. I'm
I
hip.
don't. You're hip. Your profile picture is an egg. Okay, let's see how
True. Sunny side up.
it's sunny side up. Anyway,
Even though that's not how I like my eggs. Just a funny profile picture.
yeah. Anyway,
Sorry, we digress. Frank
Frank
Ocean,
Ocean.
not the Sinatra kind.
Channel Orange.
And
Channel
yep,
Orange.
we will see you next week. Until then, I'm Todd.
And I'm Riley, and this has been another episode of Barbara Cuts.